Brad Brown here, continuing my introduction to how to do video editing. Now, in my previous video, I talked about a very easy way to get started using the very basic, very limited software that comes with Windows. Here I'm going to look at the other extreme and look at what you can do with real, fully fledged video editing software. And the software that I use and like is called HitFilm Express. And there are a number of things I like about it. Number one, it's free. And I like free. And it really is free. It's not a trial version or anything. It's free forever. There are add-ons you could pay for. There are pro versions you could get. But HitFilm Express itself, totally free forever. It works on Mac and Windows. And it really is insanely powerful. I mean, it can do green screen. It can do compositing. It can do motion tracking and motion graphics and video effects. I really can't imagine there's anything that I would ever need to do that I couldn't do with this software. And I am by no means an expert. I know probably less than 10% of what it's really capable of, but I know enough to do what I need to do. And it is powerful enough that if, for example, you were stuck in quarantine and had time to kill, you could actually use it to give yourself superpowers. Or you could do practical and useful things. I don't know why you would want to when you could, make your cat shoot lasers out of its eyes, but you do you. It is incredibly powerful, but the downside of great power is complexity. There's more of a learning curve to this than there is to simpler options. So for this video, I just wanted to teach you the basics of how to get started because it's a little hard to get started with this tool if you don't know what you're doing. So I want to do just a quick video that gives you just an introduction to the very minimum you would need to know to be able to get this, put some clips together and save them as a finished video. So let's jump in and get started. Well, this is the initial screen you see when you start HitFilm Express. You'll just need to click New in the top left to start a new project. And it'll open up a window with options. If you don't know what options you need, you can just leave the defaults. They're probably fine. So just click OK, and it will start up a project for you. It'll take just a minute to do that, and it'll take a little longer than normal just because on my laptop I'm both recording video and editing at the same time, which are both pretty intensive things. But in just a moment, it'll get the project set up and open up and ready to start. And because there is a lot going on, I'm going to go ahead and remove my face from the screen here. So this is your main workspace in HitFilm Express. The window is divided up into multiple panes, and each pane has different tools, and a pane can have multiple tabs containing different tools. And even though I'm showing you this in HitFilm Express, your basic workflow is going to be the same in pretty much any video editing software. To start out, you get the clips that you want to use, and you do that using the media pane right here. You can actually just drag and drop your clips right into there, or you can click import to find them. And these are just a few clips that I put together for us to use just to see how this works. And one important concept to know when you're editing is that nothing we do is going to change these clips. It'll just take the information from those clips and use them to make the video, but the original clips won't be touched. So no matter how I cut, edit, change, the original clips will stay exactly as they are. So this is a very safe thing to play with. So to begin, you choose which clip you want to work with first. I'm going to start with this one. And when you do, it will show up in this window up here. It's called the trimmer. This acts as a preview so you can make sure you've got the clip that you want to use. You can play it. And it's called the trimmer because it lets you trim it down and choose just the portion of the video that you want to use. So let's say I want to start at this point. So you find the frame that you want to start with, and there is a button right here to set your in point. And then find the frame you want to stop on. And there's another button to set the out point. And I don't know if you can see it on the video, but the portion of the timeline here is a different color showing you which segment you selected. So then you need to add this video to your timeline, and you do that. There are a couple ways to do it. One is by hitting the insert clip button right there, and that adds it to my timeline right down here. And we'll talk about the timeline in just a minute. Right now I'm going to grab another clip. And once again, I'm free to choose exactly where I want it to start. So I want it to start there. That's my end point. And we'll go all the way to the end. I won't set an out point. So I can just keep hitting the insert clip button there, and it'll just insert it at the current position. Another option is I can just click and drag that right here onto the timeline wherever I want it. And I'll add one more clip. There's me, that's a long one, so I'm just gonna find a good spot in the middle to grab a short clip. And we'll start there and end somewhere over here. That's a happy one. And I'll just drag that right onto the timeline, and like that. And you don't have to do just video. You can put audio in there. You can put video stills in there, or just an image. So a simple way to do graphics is just to, whatever graphics program you use, whether it's anything from Photoshop to Canva, whatever you use, you can make an image and just put it on there. So I'm just going to add this to the end, kind of like an in-credit screen with my logo on it. And there, I've now created a rough cut of my video. It's right here on the timeline. So let's get into how the timeline works. First, you can change your view. Right now it's zoomed out so you can see everything. Sometimes it's helpful to be able to zoom in, so there's an option down here. You can zoom in to get a close-up look of a portion of it, or you can stay zoomed out to have a high-level view of what you're working with. And there are a number of tools available, and they are over here. You can click the one you want to use. For this, we are only going to be using the arrow, which is the default tool. And the truth is, anything you can do with the other tools, you can do with the arrow. It just might take a little bit more work. So if you're going to use this tool, it's definitely worth learning what all these do. But all you really need to know is the arrow, which is what I'm going to show you right now. So the arrow is how you work with clips on the timeline. The simplest thing you can do is drag clips around. Like if I want to change the order, I can move me to the end, slide my logo right over there, and then slide me over. So you can rearrange things. You also can change the length of things. I mean, we set an in and out point on each one of them in the trimmer, but we're not stuck with that. We're free to change whatever we want. So with the arrow tool, when it's at the end of a clip, it changes to that kind of right squiggly bracket. If I click and drag, I can make the clip longer or shorter. And what I'm doing is I'm adjusting the out point. So I'm stopping at an earlier point or stopping at a later point. And this lets me refine my edit. And I can do the same thing at the beginning. If I don't like where it starts, if I need a little more room at the start, I can stretch it out. If I want to make it a little tighter, I can squish it back up. And if you want to move several clips at a time, you can click and drag and select multiple clips and move them around together. So I can move all those over, make this one a little bit longer, and then I can select all these and drag them back again. So you can just keep fiddling with it until you're happy with it. Up here at the top right, that's a preview of what's on your timeline. So that's going to be a preview of your finished video. So you can play the whole thing and watch. I'm going to skip ahead here. You can slide through it. Going to church is important. Surely. And that's basically it. Once you've refined this so that you're happy with where you are, you're ready to export it. One thing to note is that you need to choose which portion of the timeline you want to export. And the easiest way, you're usually going to want to do everything, so an easy way to do that, if you just right-click on the timeline up here, there'll be an option. One of them is set to contents. That will just set the length of the video you're going to export to be everything. Then there are a couple ways to do it. There's an export button here, or up here under File, there is an export. Either one of those will just save it with a default option, so I just give it a name. And I could spell it correctly. Spelling is up to you. Click Save, and that will render the video. Rendering takes a couple minutes. I won't do that right now. But that is all that you have to know to put together a video. Start out by putting your clips in here. select one, use the trimmer to set it to the size you want, and drag it onto the timeline. Make whatever adjustments you want. You can adjust the in and out point, do whatever you need to, and when you're happy, be sure this is set to the length of the contents and hit export either here or up here, and you'll have your video. So that really is all you have to know to be able to use this tool or a similar tool to create videos for your ministry. So I hope this is something you can use.